Welcome to Real Truth Real Quick. My name is Rick Smith. I'm the Director of Digital Ministry here at Watermark Church in Dallas, Texas. And we're here with our senior pastor, Todd Wagner, who has finally gotten into the Christmas spirit.
I am fully convinced it's the right thing to do.
That hat looks very great on you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, hey, speaking of Santa Claus hats, Christmas is right around the corner.
Yeah.
I got a 3-year-old. How do I talk to my kids about Santa Claus?
Well, that even assumes that you should, because there's certain people that believe that you shouldn't.
Because if you take the letters and you mix it up, it spells Satan.
Yes, it's an anagram for Satan,
Yes.
which, as you just said, is a mixing of a word to spell it. I don't really know that that's the case. In fact, if you want to go back and you can look at the origins of the word, we get from the Latin word sanctus, which means saint. And really the tradition of Saint Nicholas comes from a guy that lived in Myra, which is really in modern day Turkey. And he actually became a priest. He was a man of faith that had inherited a lot of money from his parents. And what Sanctus Nicholas did, what Saint Nick did, was he would, it was known for his generosity and his kindness. And so a lot of the Santa Claus story, old Saint Nick, came from this man who, out of his love for children specifically and underprivileged and impoverished kids, would take gifts. Some people even say he would take money and he would drop it down through chimneys. And so there's where that whole little idea came from. But, you know, here's the thing, Rick. When you talk about Santa Claus, it all depends on how you talk about him to Noah. I don't think because of your deep Christian faith that you got to take away some of the fun that your children has with his imagination. Now, I also don't think you need to lie to your kids. We celebrated Santa Claus in the Wagner household. First of all, I want to say this. If you can't do it and be fully convinced in your mind, Romans 14:5 and following. We keep going back to that verse because the reason these are questions for some people is because they fall into that area of conscience. And anything that you do that you're not fully convinced is honoring to God is going to be a sin. Without faith, Hebrews 11:6 says, it's impossible to please God. So if you're going to be troubled because you bring Santa into your home, you got to work through that. And let me just try and help you do that today, okay? Because I never lied to my kids about Santa Claus. I never made Santa Claus the focus of our Christmas, but Santa is everywhere. And I didn't want my knowing about the true meaning of Christmas, which was always the center of the Wagner Christmas celebration, to have to mean we couldn't have fun with this idea of Santa Claus. Now, we didn't scare him with it by saying this guy that I really don't know sneaks in everybody's house, and if you're good, he gives you something. If you're not, it's not going to go so well for you. We didn't do it that way. And we also never lied to our kids. Whenever our kids asked us questions about Santa, we go, oh, Santa has a secret. And the story about Santa is not the same as the story of Jesus. The story of Jesus is true. There is no secret to the story of Jesus. There's just truth there. But there's a secret about Santa that's really fun that you get to figure out as you get older. And when you figure it out, it wouldn't be kind of you to ruin other people's finding out this little mystery. In the same way that C.S. Lewis, and he actually had a good interaction with a kid that wrote him about his book, The Chronicles of Narnia, where there was a metaphor for the Jesus figure in Aslan. And some kid even actually said to C.S. Lewis, I've fallen, I think, more in love with Aslan than I have Jesus. Lewis responded personally to that, and he said, that's impossible, because the things that you see in Aslan that are true in story of him are actually and really true of Jesus. And so the more you love those things of Aslan, the more you're really loving the truth about who Jesus is. When you tell your kids about a man who is benevolent and kind, who gives gifts, and even go back and tell them about who St. Nicholas was, and St. Nicholas isn't alive today, but that idea of generosity and kindness being alive today, and the secret of how that happened is something you get to figure out, I think that's a lot of fun. But what you always want to do is tell them why St. Nicholas gave gifts. It was an overflow of his expression of his love. In fact, we are told to excel in certain things. And one of the things we're told to excel in is giving gifts. We know that Christ, though he was rich, for our sake became poor. And Paul in 2 Corinthians 8 actually tells the Corinthians this. He says, just as you abound in everything, in faith and in utterance and in knowledge and in all earnestness and in the love we inspired you, see that you also abound in the gracious work of giving. Now look, we don't ever want our kids to think about Christmas as about getting things. It's about giving love and, in Christ's case, atonement for the sins of the world and forgiveness. All right? Any gift that we should give to each other should be a reminder of the great gift that was given. But I don't think you need to, because of your deep Christian conviction, run Santa out of town. I've never heard anybody say that because we had Santa Claus as part of our Christmas fun, my kids aren't walking with Jesus. The reason your kids aren't walking with Jesus is because you're not following after the one that Christmas is really about, not because of Santa.
That's good. So what I hear you saying is have some fun this holiday season. Make some memories with your kids.
Have some fun, but I don't know if you should dress up like that.
I'm gonna not dress up like this. In fact,
I brought an outfit for you.
Not gonna wear it.
Grinch. All right, well, hey, thank you for checking out Real Truth Real Quick. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas. We will see you next year. Be sure to check out the links below and the show notes. And Todd, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, just Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.